Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trin. Hello and welcome to episode 216 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is escaping time for money. Now, this will probably get on some people's nerves because over the last few days I've sent out a few email broadcasts talking about time for money, talking about the results of Tony, Nick, Anthony, and a lot of other successful clients that we've had over time. And the one thing that I've talked about is that most personal trainers currently are self-employed. I was self-employed, I had an ABN, I had a business number, and technically I was registered as a sole trader when I was in the gym, and it made me feel good because it was, I had a business number, I had a business card, and I had all these things that, was almost creating this illusion that I owned a business, yet in fact I didn't own anything at all. I was the business. And I want to share this with you because so many trainers get caught up on that day-to-day task on how do they transition from being inside of the business to actually owning and operating a business. And if you want more time, you want more freedom, you want more money, and you want to begin to uncap yourself, then I really, really implore you to have a look at owning a business and thinking about how you can transition. It's not too difficult, but the first thing that you need to understand is that every person on this earth that is inside of that societal means is really judged, and this is why money is crazy. Like, this is why people judge their success based on money, because everybody has a number, and most people have a number. If you're a janitor, you're cleaning toilets, your number might be $21.57 an hour. If you work at McDonald's, your number might be $14.82. But every single person has a number, and when you're working at that number, you're striving to increase. And this is where scarcity comes along, because most people are scarce because they don't have enough, because they're limited to the amount of money they make per hour. And I'm going to teach you something here inside of this episode where you can begin to bridge the gap between not basing your success based on your numbers, but basing your success on the ability for you to help people. And your income can be virtually capped if you understand this concept. And I want to do something. I want to do possibly a video or something, an extension of this. I think it's really, really important right now not to base your success on your numbers, not to base your success on the amount that you make per hour, though that's very, very difficult because everybody around you is comparing. This is how you have the hierarchy of success. This is why the CEO, or this is why that person in their suit and their Mercedes-Benz can really feel really proud and pompous, because they know that they're higher up inside of that societal ladder. What I want you to understand right now is if you begin to transition yourself out from that self-employed, that employed mindset, to having a fixed income, to having a fixed rate per hour, and you begin to develop a business, then you're going to remove that barrier. You suddenly step outside, you become that square trying to fit into that circle hole, right? It just does not fit anymore. And when I look at where we are as a company, where I look at where I am, I go, I'm kind of just outside of society. I kind of look on the inside, and I understand why people operate the way they do. And it's based on fear. It's based on scarcity. So the first thing I want to share with you guys today, and it really, really helped me a lot, because we all start off in a scarce mindset if we're in society. All right? Society creates boundaries, foundations. It tells us what to do, and it tells us stories of how we should act. And if we don't have enough, guess what happens? We're scarce. We have fear of judgment around society. We have fear of not being good enough. We have the fear of not climbing high enough. The fear of being pressured by your family and friends, whatever the case may be. And the way you escape this is you really begin to uncap your earning potentials. What does that mean? It means that if you wanted to make $300,000 this year in 2018, you could. If you wanted to make $500,000, you can. And when you realize that your potential is uncapped and your success is determined by you, you're no longer in a scarce mindset. You can no longer be in a scarce mindset. The scarce mindset comes when you feel like you're restricted. The scarce mindset of not being able to buy your friend's family dinner simply comes because you go, well, I don't have enough because I know how much I'm making for the week. And this is the thing that I want to talk about that I believe is a lot of the internal struggle, that if you begin to shift this frame, it changes the game. And the first thing is trading time for money. And right now, you might be earning $60, $70 an hour. Or on average, if you look at the average over the week, if you work 50 hours a week and you're pulling in 2,000, the average is $40 an hour. But you really need to track your time and get to the truth. The truth was, back in the days, I was earning $70 for 45 minutes of training. And so I would say my hourly wage was $90, whatever the case may be. But the truth was, I was only doing 25, sometimes 10, 15 personal training sessions if I was at uni. And so the truth was, if I capped out those hours with the amount of hours I spent in the gym, travel time, everything else, it worked out to be $35 an hour. Okay. So what you want to do essentially with this time for money thing is you want to find a way to increase that. You increase that. And I'm going to ask you a question right now. What would happen right now if you demanded that per hour that you made, you could no longer work at $60 an hour, $70 an hour, and you had to say, well, my standard is now $300. And if you begin to raise your standard, that's the very first thing. If you begin to raise your standard and you said, well, I'm not going to accept $70 an hour, I'm going to accept $300 an hour, and that's the bare minimum I'm going to work for. So I'm going to make every hour that I work worth $300. And if you begin to figure out that equation, then you're going to begin to leverage yourself, because the leveraging in itself is now, if you can figure out that your hour's worth $300 and you provide a service for $300, you could begin to substantially substitute somebody else and buy somebody else's time for that $70, pull them in, and have $230 in profit. Okay, that's the theory. Stay with me on this one. Before things start to come up. So I want you to ask yourself this question. When I ask you this, what comes up for you? What are the stories that come up? I couldn't do that. I know, and chances are you have a blueprint, you have a belief, it comes up. It says, well, maybe I'm not worth that much. Who's going to pay me that much? And I didn't say anything about no one's going to pay you $300. A single person isn't going to pay you $300. I didn't say anything about results of delivery. I simply said, let's open up your mind to exploring and entertaining the idea of going, right, my time is worth $300 an hour now. And that's it. I've decided. That's what I'm going to go for. And the next question is, how do you make it happen? And so a lot of people don't transition to this, because as easy as I just asked you that question there, what happens is a belief comes up. A belief of why you can't do it. A belief of you tried to do it in the past. A belief or a blueprint that you might have. And you make assumptions based on that statement, that you begin to close yourself off to that idea. And that was a bit of a test, right? But I want to stick with this, because I want you to go, okay, well, maybe you could open up your hours to $300 an hour, get somebody in to replace that hour, take over that training and pay them the $50, and you take the $250. What would that look like? And I'm going to stick here for a second, because when I teach and when I coach, and chances are you already know the saying, if you try to do the same thing over and over again, you're insane, right? And expect a different result, you're insane. What I am asking you to do here is, what would you need to do? What would you need to create? And this is something that you've never done before. So chances are, if you're going back to your blueprint, it hasn't worked. If you're going back to what you already think you know, it hasn't worked because you didn't do it. It didn't work. And so the idea here is being able to leverage time, increasing that value, and then replacing that time that you would have spent with it with somebody else's time. And when you can do that, you become a business owner. Now I'm going to give you an example of this, and I want you to almost just think about what you're thinking about. Catch yourself on your beliefs. Catch yourself on, hey, maybe I can't do it, or I can't do it in my gym, or I can't do it in my boot camp, or I've tried that before. But you know what? These beliefs, these stories that you have immediately hold you back. And I go, fantastic. If you don't do it, then what? If you decide to stick with that belief, then you don't actually move forward. And it's a very, very good concept. I need you to buy into this idea if you're going to become a business owner. Otherwise, you're stuck. Otherwise, you're self-employed. Otherwise, you take a holiday. Guess what? You come back, there's no money. Clients have dropped off, you help nobody. And then you're back inside of scarcity and you're trying to dig. The reasons why I know this is because, guess what? I talk to trainers on a daily basis, and guess what? They're all broke. We're all broke, right? Trainers make $30,000 to $40,000 a year in Australia, okay? And less everywhere else. And as you see, the competition is high. There are gyms, there are semi-private classes, there's a lot of competition around. So trainers are kind of the last ones that kind of are at the bottom of the barrel. What I need you to understand here is if you are to charge $300 an hour, what would it look like, and how could you add more value to your clients than ever before so that they feel like they're getting the great end of the stick and you have the shit end of the stick at $300 an hour? Could it be that you have a group of 15 people and these 15 people attend an hour workshop a week, and these 15 people will then get a customized training program that you use with software. These then 15 people get taught and educated through your course as well. And these 15 people get added inside of a group and a community where they can communicate with you. And then you begin to go, right, at 15 people at $300 for this hour, go and do the maths and go divide that by 2. Every person's paying $20 a week. Could it be that now your hour is worth $300 for that Saturday morning session? And I want you to understand this, because this is what I did. This is what I did to increase my worth. At first, I was like, whoa, that's really hard. Now I've got to go coach 15 people. I don't know what I need. I don't know the systems that I need. And this is where systems come in. Because if you're able to build out systems for coaching, if you're able to build out your course content and lay it out with the technology, and you have to do it once, then it's done. But the next question you have to ask is, okay, cool, I like that idea, Lynn. How do I go about doing it? And I know I need it. So then you'll begin to go on this journey of going, okay, cool, I like that format. I can do this 1 hour thing, 1 hour at a time. And I'm going to fill up that first training pit block. And then in the side of the next hour, what I did, and this is how I met my wife, Kerry, I was at the gym. I was doing 7 a.m. blocks, 8 a.m. blocks with 12 to 15 guys at a time. 7 a.m. blocks, 8 a.m. blocks, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. blocks. I had 4 blocks. And there are 12 to 15 guys there. They'll pay me $67 a week each. My time per hour, right, was anywhere from $670 to $900, depending on how many people rocked up. But it didn't matter, because all I knew, I was going to be in the gym from Saturday morning, 7 to 11. And as I did that, I added more value to them, because that $67 a week, they would get a 1 hour training seminar and training workshop with me where we would train together as a team. They'd get to ask me any questions. They would have a customized plan throughout the week, okay, completely tracked on apps. They would have a resource site where I'd be able to coach them and teach them, and I'd put together community. Now that's one way to add value, but I want you to begin to open up your mind and go, okay, cool. If you do that, what do you need? And here's what you're going to need. You're going to need systems. You're going to need to build systems. And what I want you to understand is, once I had that set up, I went away to Hawaii in 2014 for a mastermind event, and I had 2 trainers take over those sessions for me. And for once, my business was still growing. It was still growing, and I was not there. That was the very first glimpse of success for me. And I had that same belief. I was like, well, no, who's going to pay this? That's incredible. That's ridiculous. People just want to train one-to-one or a group session. It's fixed. And no, you create your own value. The thing about this is you create your own value and you solve a need that's not being solved. So if you begin to understand this and implore this idea and catch yourself on the belief, that's when you're going to become successful. But if you always stay inside of that fixed mindset and go, this can't be done, you're never going to achieve any success, because you're going to go, well, that's all I know. And if that's all that you know, then fantastic. That's all you'll ever get to. So the question for you today is, how are you leveraging your time? How are you increasing your time per money hour block? How are you increasing your cash flow per hour right now? And in order for you to do that, you might have to think outside the box. You will need to think outside the box, and then ask yourself what beliefs are holding you back. Catch yourself on those beliefs and then take immediate and massive action. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.